Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Katam panabhante sakkaya ditti nahoti ti. Dear Brahma friends, yesterday actually we started a section on perceptions, signs, marks, perceptions. So it's a kind of a series in a way. As we discussed yesterday, it's a little complicated, even though it appears like very simple, how we see things, and when we are seeing how the eye is picking certain signs, certain marks of what we see, and similarly when we hear, how we are picking certain signs, sounds, certain marks when we are hearing. Similarly, during the smelling process, tasting process, touching process, and even in the thinking process. Particularly when we are operating through our senses, so these senses are picking certain very subtle signs available on their respective or corresponding outside object. Eye with the form, ear with sounds, nose with odors, tongue with taste, body with tangibles, and mind with mind objects. Now, these are very subtle points, marks, signs. On which are we interested? Which sign are we interested? So, what is the exact signs? What area am I interested? That depends on my latent tendencies. That depends on my raga, dosa, moha, lust, hatred, and delusion. So, on the same object, one person may look at from a different angle. He may pick certain signs, interested of certain signs. Another person with the same object might look at from a different angle, might interested of certain other features. So, and on top of that, once we gather what we want, once we gather what we like, what we are interested, and later, during the processing time, so we add our own prejudices, our own preferences, our likes, dislikes, our cultural conditioning, all that are mixed with this. Ultimately, we prepare a salad. So this is what we are eating, this is what we are then enjoying. So it has many things coming from a little thing, maybe something coming from the outside object, but we add our own stuff into the picture, and that's what we start enjoying, start thinking, and then we go to various distorted thinking, wrong way of thinking, and ultimately we can come to a conclusion that is also distorted, or we can say in a way wrong. So this is how we are operating, as we discussed yesterday. And on top of that, we have the basic fundamental type of wrong view that there is a person here. I am the one seeing, I am the one hearing, I am the one tasting, smelling, touching, thinking. There's a person here who is operating. I am an individual, I am so and so. I am not a simple person, I am a very important person. No common people, just very important people are here. Right? So we are individuals, very important individuals. So this very important individual is now seeing, thinking, talking, hearing, smelling, tasting, all that is there. So we promote this individuality, we promote this self, or we promote this personality even through our senses. When we see, I want to see better than another person, maybe. I want to hear better than another person. Smell, taste, touch, that's also like that. So that's how we want to compete with the others. Say, all are human beings, but I want to be special. I want to compete another person, defeat another person. I'm special. So likewise, we are developing some sort of a personality view. I am an individual. I am a person, I am separate, I am so and so. And we all have a name given. Name is also a sign. It's a designation, that is a name, it's a sign. Maybe if we are imprisoned, we may have a number. They might not talk about through the name, probably you may have a number. We already have a number, identity card number, or social security number, or passport number. Number is also there. As much as possible, it's a unique number. Those are also signs, by the way, isn't it? Those are also signs. But to distinctly know all this, and all that helps to have a personality. And on top of that, we gather a lot of information through our education, and we store all that. And that is also helping to build a personality. So I am talking particularly with respect to the sanya, perceptions. And say there is a group, and within that group I have a certain perception about a particular situation. I have a certain perception about a particular individual, about a particular person. So that my perception may be a superior perception than another's perception. So I might want to highlight it. So I consider it as the most important perception. So in case they attack it, another person attack it, if they consider it as an inferior type of perception, then I get hurt. So you are attacking me. So me is there, I is there, but actually it's not physically attacked, but the perception being attacked. So my view is attacked. So likewise, the perceptions are actually fairly intertwined into our experience. Names, labels, languages, conventions, how we recognize, and onto that recognition, what value we attribute, that all depends. And on top of that, we start thinking. That's another area we can discuss under the sankhara khanda. So these perceptions are, in a way, as we discussed yesterday, is a helping to make a person. So immediately I consider my name as myself. Sometimes, say for example, when someone is talking to you from your name, so immediately you can raise your hand. Okay, this is me. I am here. I am Venerable Chandaratana. I am so and so. So name is something very important. I keep it as a important thing. And in case someone put a nickname, then I get hurt. If they change a name, or they put a nickname, or bully using the name, then I really get upset about it. So name is something very strongly we are adhered to, we really like it maybe, and some people even hate the name. I don't like my name, I want to change my name, and they might consider even to change the name. Maybe it's a long procedure, you have to put an advertisement, you have to go for the, what's that, identification department, something? What's that? Pujjaling Lyapadinchi Kirime Departamento. So we have a separate department to register the individuals with their unique name. So you have to meet so many other people, different persons. You have to go through different levels to change the name. That's also not an easy task. Probably you might have to give it up and still have to go through this old, bitter, bad, ugly name. So you still suffer. Either you create a self thinking it's the best name, I am the one having the most beautiful name, or you may be continuously suffering. Okay, I got the wrong name. My parents were not careful about when they were selecting my name. They didn't properly meet Arisen Nahubudu. So if they have met him, probably they might have given a really beautiful name, but unfortunately they have given an odd name. We might even worry about it, worry about our name. Now how about the designation? Say you are going to a job, applying to a job, and you are going to a particular office or something, and now your designation is probably displayed on your table if you are maintaining a good position, and probably you have given a cubicle and there also your name is mentioned. so and so. Then once you see that door, when you are going inside, you might feel, little bit of, you feel little elated about it. And once your name is well displayed with several degrees at the end, the CEO, so and so. So once you see that, you can see how the sense of I is popping up. And again, the memories, as we just discussed, the memories are having a fair relationship with the sanya, and all we gather, all we see, hear, all that, a certain amount of those marks, signs are stored in our mind. And how about when we immediately remember that? It came as a memory to your mind. My childhood. So you have certain, childhood experiences, and probably assume that the event that you remembered accidentally may be a beautiful experience, very pleasant experience, and probably you now start appreciating it, being happy about that experience, and you now even live in that experience. As a child, you are, maybe with your friends and all, and, participating in a concert, maybe playing, something like that. So you still enjoy. So you might have a slight smile, maybe you laugh to yourself, being a person. So the memories are a good area for us to make a self. Memories are helping to join the dots. So our different events are there in our lives. So all those different events helping us to join the dots and to make a person a continuous person. I was living at first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade. Likewise, you all different levels you can connect. So I was there, isn't it? In the past, I was there. Now also I am here, the future also I will be there. So all those memories are quite helpful for us to have the affirmation of the self. So if I delete all my memory, then I can't remember who I am. My name I can't remember, my parents, other relatives, friends, my ethnicity, whatever, I don't know who I am. Right? Some people go through some experiences, maybe accidents or something like that, a trauma type of thing, dementia, whatever. Now they can't remember who they are. So how to build those connections? So how to connect those dots? Very difficult. So memory in that sense, fair relationship with the sanya, has a big role playing to prepare a self, make a self. Now, how to overcome this? Now the next question asked by the Venerable Monk is that, Katampana bhante sakkaya ditti nahoti iti. Now the answer goes going like this. Ida bhikkhu sutava ariya sāvako, ariyanan dassāvi, ariya dhammassa kovido, ariya dhamme suvinito. Sappurisanan dassāvi, sappurisa dhammassa kovido, sappurisa dhamme suvinito. So you can see there is a relationship coming from that association. It is not that immediately by kind of a self-realization we do it. It may be possible for Pacceka Buddha and the Samma Sambuddha. But for us, we need some sort of a training. We need some sort of an example. We need some sort of a guidance. So when Buddha is telling, these are mere perceptions, these are mere signs, these are mere marks. So you gather all these three through your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, etc. So you start thinking about it. Probably logically that is very valid. So we start convinced about it. So when Buddha is telling, there is no person there, there is no individual there, and they are merely memories, they are merely signs. They are appearing in your mind as kind of mental images. So why am I attributing a person to this mental image? So you start questioning about it, right? Assume that you all are here now, and probably your son is at your home, or your brother is at your homes, father is at your home, whatever, whoever loved one is at your home, immediately assume there's a mental image appearing in your mind. It's a mental image, by the way. But that mental image we are not keeping as the mental image. So what we do, immediately we attribute a person to it. This is my son, this is my daughter, this is my brother, this is my father, this is my mother, whatever it is. So immediately we add that label. With that, what happened? Assume that you have a great affection to your son. So that affection also now popping up. Now the situation become complicated. Previously it is a mere mental image, but it is no more. Now a person is there. That person is a lovable person. Now you start thinking, from different angles, now you start thinking, the whole situation become fairly complicated now. And if he is going through some severe problems, you start crying now. Say he has gone through some happy situation, you might start laughing even now, smiling. You feel happy about it. By remembering, you feel happy about it. Now say, that's why with the past memory, there may be certain past memories that you like to think. You purposely even think about it, isn't it? Certain past memories are very beautiful, very pleasant. And we can't delete them quickly, erase them quickly. They are very appreciable. And we again and again want to think, memorize it. And we may have photos of that event and we even put it on our table and we look at it, again remember that event. We look at it, again remember that event. So what we do? We affirm this person. So I am a person, I have this past, I went through this kind of episode, I went through this kind of situation. If it is a happy situation, you really like it and now you close your eyes and you again relive that past event, isn't it? We relive. It was already gone, but we relive mentally in that event. So when we are reliving, we are gathering many past memories, mental images onto our mind. We are filling our mind. If you look at what is happening to our mind, so mind get filled now. So much of memories, so much of mental images are popping up, coming up, and we are adding this and that to it. We color it, we like it, we are having a smile or we cry. If it is a real sorrowful event, still we even like to memorize it. You can't simply erase it. And say, even your friends are telling, okay, now don't worry about it, just forget it, it's gone, you can't correct it now, but still you can't forget it, isn't it? So you still remember it, and more you remember it, more you suffer. And more you create suffering in a way as a person. So this person has an issue in a way. When a personality is developed, that personality is not a perfect personality, perfect person. So this person always has certain defects, faults, issues, worries, all that are there. So immense amount of suffering is there. Now practice in a way help us to have some sort of a clarity in the mind. So at the beginning we don't have that clarity. All these thoughts, all these memories, all these mental images are fully, very much like filled in the mind. You can't find even a little space in your mind. Mind is filled with garbage, isn't it? So assume that, think about your past, how you started your meditation, and at that time, if you can remember, it's filled with too much information, too much maybe thinking, but on top of that is a mind with too much of science. Very heavy mind, stressed mind. But the practice helps us to calm it down, relax it for a while, and slowly, the amount of thinking become less, amount of mental images appearing in your mind become less. So you might feel some sort of a calmness. once a while at least some sort of a clarity in the mind. The lesser will be the thoughts, lesser will be the mental images. Here and there you find certain gaps, certain spaces. Assume that you went through your practice. Now, immediately, actually, looking at the mind and recognizing mental images as mental images would be difficult. Because it needs a fairly good clarity of the mind, a fairly good comprehension to the mind. Mindfulness has to be very sharp. Otherwise, easily, these mental images mental images capture our attention and we easily start thinking. Thinking is quite instantaneous when a mental object appears. For us to step back and watch a mental image as a mental image might take some time. So that's why typically what we do is working with the body, developing with Kaya Anupassana, developing body awareness. So as we are more and more developing body awareness, mindfulness with respect to the body, Kaya Anupassana, so thinking becomes less and less. So you start having clarity of the mind. So now still perceptions are there. Those are deeply rooted. But currently they are not yet operative like. So tendencies are there, perceptions are there, but at least for a moment your mind experience some kind of a clarity. And you still use certain object. Say for example you are using the breathing. So you are now having marks of the breathing. So we promote that. Okay, now you look at the beginning of the in-breath, middle of the in-breath, end of the in-breath, gap between in-breath and out-breath, beginning of the out-breath, middle, end, gap between out-breath and in-breath. Now here also you are actually getting certain signs, but less harmful. And this is a neutral object. Unlike it's a very lustful or hateful object, it's a very, very neutral, innocent type of a thing. So you are in a way picking signs which are harmless almost like. Now the mind has some sort of a clarity. So these objects are in a way reducing the burden to the mind. The congestion in the mind is now reduced. Thinking is now reduced. Proliferation is now reduced. So for example, Anapanasati is particularly recommended for the speculative mind. Mind who is too much thinking, overthinking, obsession. For such character, Anapanasati is one of the best medicine. Because it's a very natural process, it's a physical process. There you don't have to think anything, but to silently experience it. So we are developing an entirely different path now, kind of a silent experiencing. Right? You don't need to think, you don't need to look at in a book. You can feel it, you can directly experience it. You can directly experience the in-breath. You can directly experience the out-breath. So this experience actually helps us to calm down the mind, relax the mind, and to give a little bit of clarity to the mind. So while you are going through that, again assume there may be a situation that very, say, wonderful type of fantastic kind of visuals can happen again. Because breath is now calming down, becoming very, very subtle. Now what happened? You might see a beautiful Buddha image, really nice, really beautiful. Probably he might have come to give me an instruction. Probably, who knows? Because of my, lot of merit power, Lord Buddha might have come. So you got again trapped. Again we attribute a person to what? A mental image. This is also a mental image, but unfortunately this is more powerful, by the way. Very intense. Previously we saw mental images as a congestion with a lot of crowded environment. Previously it is with many other mental images. We saw a Buddha image also, it's nothing basically. It's just another mental image. But here our mind has a fair amount of clarity. Now when the Buddha image appear like very prominent, and it will appear very bright maybe, because the mind is fairly clear And fair amount of samadhi, concentration is also there. So whatever appear in your mind appear like very, very powerful. In case you see a god, a celestial type of image, same thing. You might think, okay, you attribute, okay, a god has come, a celestial being has come, he might have maybe expecting some merit from me, or this may be my father, now he was a really pious person and he passed away last month, now he is being in the celestial realm. He has appreciated that his son, daughter practicing, So you can prepare a story about it, because this image is very, very powerful, appear like real, more than the previous mental images. So we did Anapanasati to solve the problem, but now because of Anapanasati, you get a new problem. In case you see a really, ugly type of image, maybe a deformed face and, some body also looks like really ugly, probably you might remember some past grandmother, grandfather who lived a really bad life or something like that. Probably you can attribute to that person and think, okay, she might have had a bad rebirth and probably expecting some merit from me. You can start another story again. So likewise, this is another trap actually we can go through. Actually, we want to develop the wisdom in order to purify the mind, but on the way, as we are going through the process, there is a trap. In such case, remembering these are also merely mental image is very, very important, very, very critical. Because for some people, this is coming again and again. And once they give value to it, next time also it appears. Same image maybe. And probably you start talking and that person also start talking. And your mind start interpreting it. And that person might take you to different directions now. And these things are happening in the meditation world. You interpret their appearance or their different marks, their words, something. Actually, these are all my mind's projections, but I can't understand that. Instead, I think he's a separate person. He has come here to instruct me, give me an advice, maybe with respect to my meditation or because about my life in general or about a future event, to give me a prediction. So now the whole thing become utterly confused. You go in an entirely wrong path. So therefore Buddha particularly mentioned sanya is like a mirage. Marichika upama sanya. So they appear like very, very real, but it is not water. It is a mirage. So having that insight, when you see these mental images, is very, very crucial. And assume that you had that insight. First time, assume that you got wrong and you trapped in it, you promoted it, and you went through a lot of hallucinations, you went through a lot of visualizations, and your mind get crowded, whole thing collapsed. And once you got tangled in it, but maybe later you understood, okay, this is also a trap, I should have some insight here, should have some wisdom here. Next time, probably when breathing becomes subtle, again that image appear, but there you have to be vigilant about it. You have to be wise about it. You should not attribute a person to it, rather it is a mere mental image. In such case, so then it starts depleting, it starts blurring, or it starts disappearing. So somehow you went through the hurdle, overcome the hurdle, fine. So as we are further and further continuing, now such cases can happen. I have explained particularly the mental images, but there may be rare cases about the sounds also. The saddha sanya also can happen. Like you might hear the murmur of someone, a singing of someone, maybe like paritta chanting or something like that. Depending on our personality, our biases, there may be such cases also possible. So there also what we need to understand is these are type of perceptions. Now suppose we went through it, was able to overcome it. Now mind become more clear, more cleansed, and you have the clarity of the mind. So as we continue, now suppose we do practice Vipassana. Now if we practice Kayanupassana, particularly this elements meditation, as a result of elements meditation, one important result of element meditation is that your mind may have less visualizations with respect to the physical objects. Now typically physical objects are very important area to remember and to gather all that and to fill the mind. But as a result of the elements meditation, we understand their true nature, how impermanent they are, how unsatisfactory they are, how non-self they are, all that are the insights, wisdom. So the value that we attribute to all these physical objects become less and less. So that helps to drop them, that helps to overcome them or to abandon them, relinquish them. So slowly, your mind feel lighter, and those images, physical object related images, now are less disturbing to the mind. So you can see whether such thing has happened. So assume that you are practicing Kayanupassana, elements meditation for a while. So do you have a lighter mind now? Lighter in the sense not heavy, on the other hand little spacious. At least between different mental images you can have little space, gaps. It's not a series of mental images like a continuous film, rather at least like a cartoon. You know, cartoon is different from the live film, right? Cartoon you can understand, it's not really like the real thing, but still they are trying to show that liveness, but it's a cartoon. How about the old type of cartoon? One image is there, then little gap, the change is evident, right? Change is evident. So like that. Maybe another time, image appear, disappear, almost like a space, another image appear, disappear, another space, another image appear, disappear, space. Now you are capable of actually practicing impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, non-self, even using the perceptions. Because mind has a fair clarity. And you already have fair amount of wisdom now. That's why these things are appearing, only popping up, disappearing, and there are gaps. So you can see in your mind, is there continuous flow of mental images or kind of pulsations like things? Popping up, disappearing, nothing. Popping up, disappearing, nothing. If we are able to reach that, then easy to understand, okay, these mental images are mere mental images. I was the one coloring them, I was the one feeding them, I was the one labeling them, naming them, attributing a person to that, personifying them, objectifying them. I was utterly fooled by them, basically. Now, the moment we have that insight, so we can say, actually, we are directly able to look at the mind. Nothing to worry. We can now directly watch the mind. And actually, Buddha, when explained in certain other places, now, interestingly, this mental image always has certain other attributes. Actually, we are giving emphasis to the sanya, but it is not alone appearing. Sanya always may have certain amount of feeling, it is arising. And as I just discussed, say when you remember some kind of a past event, it produces some kind of a feeling in you. And you remember certain physical extracted information is now appearing in your mind. Say you have seen a beautiful flower, you might even touch it, you have smelled it, you have seen it, its color, shape, all that. So that is the mental image now appearing in your mind. That is the rupa part, the rupa sanya, the the perception or the sign of the form what you have seen. When it appears, you have certain feeling about it, a little bit of intention about it, and you look at it, contact, and you pay attention to it. So these are called the nama, vedana, sanya, chetana, passa, manasikara. So therefore, even though we are trying to individually explain this mental image, it has many other attributes operating concurrently. So in general, therefore Buddha say, achijji tanhang ida nama rupe. So our consciousness appear like a screen. Onto this screen, now beautiful image is projected. Can we see this as a projected image? Not to live in this episode, not to live in this cinema, not to live in this story. It's a mere story. It's a mere fiction. It's a mere projection, a mental image. If we have that wisdom, then we are not craving that. We are cutting the craving. Achejji tanhang. So Buddha say, you have to cut off this craving to that nama rupa, appearing right now. So therefore, unlike Kayanupassana, this is very electric. Now in the Kayanupassana, it's a little easy because your foot is touching the ground and there is a sensation and you can easily understand how this sensation arising and passing away. But this is very closed, isn't it? It's very here itself. That's why you need a fairly sharp skill to immediately recognize at this level. Even at the, now if you consider the Patissamuppada, avijja pacca sankhara, sankhara pacca viññānaṁ, viññāna pacca nāmarūpaṁ, nāmarūpa pacca salayatanaṁ, salayatana pacca passo, passa pacca vedana, vedana pacca tanha. So one area for us to easily look at is that maybe vedana pacca tanha. Say whenever a feeling produced, probably we may have a desire to it. Probably we can easily understand that as a thought, as a craving, as a desire. Maybe when the touch sensation happens, there's a feeling produced. That is also another easy area that we can start with. A feeling, rather, contact produce feeling. Contact is the proximate cause for the feeling to arise. So again and again your foot is touching the ground, the contact is happening. A feeling is produced. Very easy. But as you are coming more and more towards the other end, to the root, what we have, Viññāna pacca nāmarūpaṁ. Now very, very sharp end. Very interesting by the way. How kind of a quickness we need to have before it reaches to the other limbs. So we have to be very quick, very sharp mindfulness, sharp attention. It's popping up in the mind. At that moment you are vigilant, you recognize it. Mental image. Namarupa. So if so, this is a very, very kind of a electric type of a practice. So Viññāna and Namarupa link is a very interesting link because it has an interdependency also. And the consciousness is get trapped in the name and form is helping to consciousness to get established. So this is developing kind of a momentum as a whirlpool. So this is what ultimately pushing us to go for an action. You raise, you get up and you go to the fridge, you open the door, you look at it, take the drink, start drinking. First you have seen it in your mind. You get a desire to it. So name and form has gone to another level, to an operative level. But here you are simply recognizing it as the name and form, as a mere mental image. So very sharp, very interesting. Now, on such case, if we are able to operate like that, so the perceptions are not capable of making a person, making a self. You can't have a personality there because you see it as a mental image. It is not something useful. It is not something important. It is not something valuable. I have to simply let it go. So you let it go. So again mind become clear. Nothing is there. Your mind has kind of a spacious mind, lighter mind, spacious mind, clean mind. So when there is no mental image, can you have lust? Can you have anger? Can you have any defilement? Impossible. For any defilement to have, you need at least some sort of mental images. So all the defilements are associating nimittas. Sanimitta bhikkhave uppajjati papaka akusala dhamma no animitta. All the papaka akusala dhammas, all different kinds of unwholesome states have these nimittas, have these little signs included. Now you can make a kind of an experiment. While keeping your mind completely spacious, can you have any defilement? We can't do it. So the more the clarity, your mind is purified. So you can't generate a defilement when the mind is complete, maintaining a clarity. No mental images means your mind is purified to that level, to that moment, during that period. So therefore the one area of overcoming these signs, ultimately actually we come to the animitta. Actually, how it produces may be another area where you start practicing impermanence. Maybe with respect to the body you might start. So how quickly they arising and passing away. How quickly you recognize arising and passing away. So what happens when they are quickly arising and passing away? So you can't gather that information. You can't see the marks. You can't see the signs because they are so rapid. And now the walking happens, but they are quickly passing away. You can't find out whether it is Patavi Dhatu, Apo Dhatu, Tejo Dhatu, Ayo Dhatu. It's like a flux. You can't find out the detail. You can't gather the information now. So rapid. Assume that you practice Vedananupassana. Different feelings are arising, but you can't gather the information. You can't add a label to it. You can't paste a label, whether it is a pleasurable feeling, painful feeling, equanimous feeling. You can't find out because it quickly passed away, quickly ran out, disappeared. The moment you look at it, it's gone. How can I say it is the painful feeling? How can I say it's a pleasurable feeling? That's gone. Assume that thoughts are there. So you are simply looking at thoughts, and previously you can recognize, okay, one thought coming, you are adding another thought, it is a lustful thought, you become a little lustful, and then somehow you are able to overcome those lustful thoughts, disappeared. So that's how probably we have started. Later, you might even get fractions of thoughts. You can't have the complete, the generation of thoughts or kind of episodes. Rather, fractions of thoughts are coming. The moment you are vigilant, they are gone. Moment you are mindful, they are gone. So the thoughts does not stay at your mind now. So you can't find out who they are because they are already gone. So the signs are now disappearing. Signs are disappearing, and as a result of that, mind become freed, what we call the animitta. Animitta is one area for us to develop. So particularly based on the impermanence. Once we know things are utterly transient, very quickly arising and passing away, so we are unable to capture the signs, marks, because they are quickly passing away. So as a result of that, your mind can't establish they are, so the mind get temporarily liberated, temporarily freed, what we call the animitta vimokkamukha. A type of a freedom one might experience by not taking signs. So assume that you are developing that now. Again and again you are practicing, again and again these results coming out. You feel kind of blanking out at a particular time. At the beginning it appears like odd, because you are there with a very beautiful memory, a very beautiful romantic memory, your beautiful bright future. You are practicing, all of a sudden everything go blank, and you find out what's really going on. So you might even get frightened. So that's why, the memory loss is a possibility. maybe a temporary. And some people actually experience that in a more strong way. And certain cases are there, say they want to deliver a lecture. While delivering the lecture, they completely go blank. They can't remember the lecture. Such thing can happen. So therefore, we don't need to say all this is happening while you are sitting and practicing meditation. So the results, these impact can happen instantaneously at different times also. And at that time, probably you feel awkward, you feel frightened, you may feel surprised. But as we continue the practice, you feel familiar with it. You feel, okay, it is coming. I am continuing the practice. Okay, when I reach there, okay, I am going to kind of a blank state. Nothing is there, but everything is fine. My leg is there, hands are there, head is there. No problem. I am living. Nothing to worry. So you can have a good sigh. Okay, nothing has happened. Okay, tomorrow also I can sit. It's a kind of an experiment. So you are going through that risk-loving type of thing. A little bit of risky thing because you lose yourself. Because we like that continuity. I want to have me, I want to have myself, so that myself is disappeared suddenly, all of a sudden, and you feel like little surprised or uncomfortable, maybe. But when it happens again and again, you start, okay, it's a nice experience. How shall I have it tomorrow also? So you start enjoying it next time. When it happens, now you jump to it. You are going through the practice and again that blanking happened and you stay there now. Again happens, you stay there for a while. So now it becomes kind of a playful activity. You are going through in that, you are experimenting in that. Now that blankness staying a little bit more. So that signless become somewhat pervaded, longer, enlarged type of thing. So now the mind recognizes, okay, there's a possibility to live like this. Thinking is not a must. Having signs is not a must. Congestion in the mind is not a must. I can have the mind spacious. I can live with a spacious mind. Nothing wrong with it. So you can live like that. So now you are recognizing an entirely different way of life. A mind without thoughts, maybe. Time to time, maybe. Mind without thoughts. Mind without signs. Mind with complete clarity. So this is a very interesting area actually. This is appear like foreign, but these things are the areas that we need to experiment. Because we know a world full of signs, full of thinking, full of obsession, proliferations, very heavy, very tensed. But the practice helps us to shift from that world to a different world in a way. It has no tension, no friction, very lighter, and mind is not thinking but full aware. It does not mean that you become completely unconscious. So therefore this state is beautifully mentioned by the Buddha in the Kalaha Vivada Sutta from negations actually. Na sanya sanyi. So while you are there are no regular type of perceptions in the mind. So while you are there, you can't remember your mother, father, brother, sister, daughter, son, job, president, minister, election. All are those, that mundane, garbage, signs, perceptions can't be there. Na sanya sanyi. Na visanya sanyi. You haven't gone wrong. It is not that you become a lunatic or you become completely perverted. Say, for example, if I say this, we all know this is a clock. Instead of clock, say you are telling it is a radio. There are something wrong, right? So you went wrong. You better admit to the psychiatric. You better see a psychiatric. So it is not a situation like this. Now, visanya sanyi. So you haven't have a completely distorted, a wrong type of sanya either. Na visanya sanyi. Nopi asanyi. You are not unconscious. You are fully conscious. Remember that also. Sometimes people misunderstand. So is this a state we are promoting kind of a unconscious? Because sometimes people heard about this asanya satta. So they often sometimes ask the question, Bhante, am I going through this asanya satta state? No, you are fully conscious. If someone hit you, you can feel it. So in the asanya satta, you are like a log. You can't feel anything at all. So typically it is explained like, say, your mind is not operative at all. Whatever that fourth jhanic power has stopped the complete mental operation. Here it is, you are fully vigilant, you are fully conscious. Na asanya san, nopi asanyi, na vibhuta sanyi. Na vibhuta sanyi, particularly I feel, what Buddha tried to mention there, is not that you completely destroy all these sanya, so that you can never have any sanya. No. Next time you can switch back to the typical mundane type of sanya. You can remember your mother, you can remember your father, you can remember your name, this and that. You can switch back. It is not that you have utterly destroyed all the sanya. It is not a negation of all the conventions, all the sanya, all the perceptions, all the signs. So you become utterly blank forever. You don't know who you are, and you know. That is not. So you can operate like a typical person. You can talk, you can recognize others, you know their names, everything. You can switch easily. It's not the complete destruction of the sanya either. So therefore, so what is it? That we need to experience, isn't it? I mean, that's why. So Buddha elaborated, telling, okay, this is not that. It is not at that state. It is not any particular mundane, trivial kind of perceptions come into your mind. They can't come to your mind. That's one area, he say. Another thing is, na sanya sanyi, na visanya sanyi. It is not that you went wrong and you get the entirely upside down type of situation. Not. You are in the full set with your full operative senses. You haven't gone insane. Na visanya sanyi. Nopi asanyi. You are fully conscious. Fully conscious. More than others even, maybe. Your faculties are very bright, very awake. And na vibhuta sanyi, it is not the complete utter destruction of the perceptions. You understood their nature so that your mind is not interested or tangled with them. Maybe for a moment, maybe for a while. So your mind can have the capacity to live, sustain without them. So you can see what are the areas that Buddha emphasizes on this experience. So it's a kind of a positive experience that Buddha is talking, but telling us this is not there, this is not there, this is not there, this is not there. But still it is consciously you are aware, you can recognize, you can live there, you can experience it. And as many other suttas are there, and very, very deep sometimes. Sometimes they say, no pataviya patavi sanyi assa. With respect to the solidity, you don't have any solid related perceptions. No apo sanyi assa. So likewise with respect to water, watery type of thing, there is no such perception. And like that, everything is negated. But still, sanyi pana assa. You are still capable of knowing things. So very difficult to communicate these areas. Very interesting, by the way. So when we are going through it, so very interesting suttas are there to help us to guide it, to verify, am I in the proper area what Buddha has mentioned? Or am I in a hallucination? Am I gone into a very deep, concentrated, related crushing of the sanya? Or am I simply aware and mind is maintaining its clarity? While looking at things, mind still maintain clarity. While hearing, still mind maintain clarity. So you can look at, still it's a living being. It's a living person, but mind remain calm, quiet, maintaining its clarity, no disturbance. Now we human beings actually, we can't even appreciate it. That's the problem. I heard somehow, who said, one person has written to me, his name is Mahendra, someone. So he is telling Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle is talking about this. Fortunately, I haven't read his book and I haven't heard his sermons, but Buddha's teaching emphasize it. And I heard he emphasized living a life free of thinking. I don't know, probably you have heard his teachings. I heard from this other person, Mr. Mahendra, I can remember whoever, he's telling this, Eckhart Tolle is telling to this Western crowd, there is a possibility like this, living a mind without thinking, without these kind of perceptions, without these kinds of hallucinations, visualizations, but he promotes it. That's really good in a way, because when we as monks, traditional monks, we tell this, probably you might have doubts. At least Eckhart Tolle is telling it. Probably you can think about it. Some Western voices also there now. Very interesting. I don't know how he went through it, but very beautifully Buddha mentioned it. That's why I want to emphasize this Kalaha Vivada Sutta verse. Na sanya sanyi nopi na sanya sanyi na visanya sanyi nopi asanyi na vibhuta sanyi evan sametasya vibhuti rupang sanya nidanahi papancha sankha. Very, very beautiful. These are like essence of the practice. So when you are going through it, when you are able to experience it, you can understand what a kind of a teaching that Buddha has presented. Even one can experience it today. It is not something, you need to be a arahant to experience. Temporary, for some moment, at least for 1 minute, 2 minutes, you can experience it as you are continuing the practice. So that is the beauty, that is the gain we can have. So we are learning a different way of experience in our life. So that's why, on such case, actually, you might start challenging all these perceptions. You might start challenging all the signs appearing in our mind. No value need to be attributed then. They are merely signs. So more and more the path become more clear to you. So you become confident because you are experiencing it. So when someone is telling, okay, you can't have it, you confuse them. No, I am there. You can be an example to that. So as the last question, actually, this Venerable Monk is asking, Yakachi sanya katannuko bante janato katam passato imasmincha saviññānake kāye bahiddaca sabba nimittesu ahankara mamankara mānānusayana hontiti. Now he is asking how to overcome eye-making, mind-making, and the conceit I am, all that very subtle level of defilements. Now with respect to the signs, the moment that we have the capacity to live without attachment, without grasping, maintaining a fairly freed mind, so there you can quickly recognize when a mental image is appearing, when a thoughts are appearing. So, and unknowingly or knowingly, because of our ignorance, when we are promoting it, and we are attributing a person to it, I am attributing a person and making a self. Now this whole weaving of thoughts, whole weaving of an episode become more clear to us. Then why we promote it? Then why are we ignorantly participate to it? Isn't it? So more we understand what's really going on, so we are the ones making the problem, we are the ones getting tangled in it by ourselves because of our own ignorance. At least for a while can we avoid it? At least for a while can we live without such tanglement, maintaining the clarity of the mind, a lighter mind, a free mind, unattached mind. So on such case, you are not making a self. You can't have any base to make a self. So therefore, sanya is a very lucrative area for us to prepare a self, make a self, But more we have wisdom, so we start avoiding it. Maybe maintaining the mind more and more into animitta. So that's why with respect to arahants it is mentioned, Sunyato animitto cha vimokho yesa gocharo. So their pasture, their dwelling place is signless and emptiness. You can see Akaseva sakuntanang padantas durannaya. So Buddha say, so their pasture, their dwelling place of their mind is sunyata and animitta, signless and the emptiness. So that where their mind has established, what their mind has associated, can't be traced, like a bird who has flown through the sky. You can't find a trace. You can't find a route. There are no footsteps. So very, very beautiful area actually. So with that note, I will conclude today's Dhamma sermon. Thank you very much for attentive listening. Okay, there's a short sharing of merits. Today breakfast dana was offered by Ramya Diya Balanage. So Diya Balanage to bless Sarat, Nilanka, Bhagya, Suhanya, Hasindu, Vidisha and Hashain. I think Hashain. And then today lunch dana was offered by Mrs. Manel Amaravira and family. All merits gathered by offering dana will be shared with all past relatives, and also wish these merits will help us, all of us, to attain Nibbana. Okay, those are the few short sharing of merits. And today also we have spent fair amount of time practicing mindfulness, wisdom, and spend some time in participating in the Dhamma discussion and listen to a Dhamma sermon. All the merits what we have accrued, we will share with all our past relatives and all celestial beings and whoever in need of merits. And we wish these merits help us also to attain path, fruition, Nibbana. We'll recite the traditional verses. Ettavatacha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya. Ettavatacha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya. Ettavatacha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkantu sasanang. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddika anumoditva cirang rakkantu desanang. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkantu mamparang. Idang vo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang vo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang vo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.